Pennsylvania is a very big topic in politics, with the 2024 Senate election quickly approaching. On the ballot, we see the two main candidates being Bob Casey, representing the Democratic Party and also running for re-election, Dave McCormick, representing the Republican Party, and a handful of other candidates representing various parties. Pennsylvania has two very large cities with very diverse demographics, which has caused them to primarily vote Democrat in the last 50 years, since a large part of their population live in these cities and typically vote Democrat. Another thing that makes this election worth following are the major conflicting views each candidate has, with Casey focusing on social issues such as abortion and gun control, while McCormick focuses on economic issues and foreign relation issues, like the US's relationship with China. Finally, this election will determine which party has the majority of the Senate. Looking at the polls on this race throughout the year, we see that Casey has been dominating McCormick. This graph from realclearpolling.com shows the progress of the candidates in the polls throughout the year. At the top, we see the current results, which shows Casey has the lead with 48% and McCormick having 45.7%. The first poll on the graph was taken on January 10th, 2024. It shows the results all the way to present day. We see a lot of fluctuation and changes, both candidates going up or down, but Casey has been consistently in the lead. Overall, we see Casey having a very comfortable lead in the polls, even reaching a 9-point lead at some points. But in the graph, we see as we get closer to election day, the lines start to get closer, showing that McCormick is starting to close in, making it a tighter race. Even though Casey is still ahead by 2 or 3 points, McCormick still has a chance of pulling ahead. Here, I have 4 different polls that have been taken periodically in the last month. The first poll from September 27th and September 28th shows that Casey has the lead over McCormick with 47% of the votes. The next poll, taken on October 7th and October 8th, has Casey in the lead with a bit of a bigger margin, having 48% of the votes, and McCormick having 43% of the votes. The October 21st to 22nd poll has Casey in the lead with 47% and McCormick with 46%. In one of the most recent polls that has come out on October 26th and October 27th, it shows that Casey and McCormick are actually tied at 47% each. These polls show us how over time, as we near the election, we are starting to see a tight race. Now, if we consider the margin of error on these polls, we see that there might not be a clear candidate in the lead. Looking at these polls taken on October 21st and 22nd, the margin of error is 3. If we take these percentages of 47 and 46 and add and subtract them by 3, we will get Casey with a margin of error of 44 to 50 and McCormick with a margin of error of 43 to 49. Looking at these numbers, we see that there's a 5-point overlap from 44 to 49. This means that the true number can be anywhere within that margin. So even if we see Casey in the lead pretty consistently, it is a tighter race than people think, and McCormick might even be at the lead at times. So based on the trends of the polls throughout the year and Casey leading almost consistently, I think it's very safe to say that Casey is going to win the Senate race in Pennsylvania this year.